Tov. Good morning, everybody. Bruchim Abayim. I'm sorry for my delay. This is Parshas Chukas this week, and Thursday we began the first mimer from the Balatanya, from the Alter Rebbe and Likkutei Parshas Chukas, which is page 111, Nun Vav, column 2. Page 111 in the English, in the Hebrew it's Nun Vav, column 2. It says Parsha Chukas. Today's class is dedicated by Anat Bravman in the merit of Nami Bas Avigail for Refuas HaGuf and Refuas HaNefesh. Amen. Thank you very, very much. Arichas Yomim B'Shanim Tovus and all the bracha and Atzlocha. B'Teich Klal Yisrael. Okay. What was the main point we learned in the first shiur? So just before we begin, we're going to Be'ez Hashem continue the Maimed today, and then tomorrow morning there's a shiur for women, as usual, 9:30 here. You could tell your wives or daughters or sisters or relatives. And tomorrow night, Tuesday night, there'll be a big Fabrengen here, in connection to the yahrzeit of the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the 30th yahrzeit, which is Gimel Tammuz, tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow night in 20, next door upstairs, 8:30 p.m. Everybody's invited. It's for men and for women with a mechitza, and children, everybody's invited. That's Tuesday night, and Thursday morning we'll have the regular shiur, 7:45. Bli neder Be'ez Hashem. Okay. What was the main point? He began, the Torah begins, it's Parshas Chukas, it's also Parshas Parah, that we read before Pesach. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe v'al Aaron lemer. Moshe, Hashem speaks to Moshe, and he says, Zois Chukas ha-Torah asher tziva Hashem lemer. This is the law of the Torah that Hashem commanded, saying. And what's the law? And he goes through the whole law. He speaks to the Jewish people, V'yikchu elacha Parah Adumah tmima shelo yaleha ha'oil. The whole mitzvah of the red cow, and burn it with the ashes and mix it with the water and sprinkle it on somebody who's tamei, tumas meis, impure. So he started with a few questions. First question starts with Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe lemer. So grammatically it should have said Zois Chukas HaTorah asher tzivisi. He says Zois Chukas HaTorah asher tziva Hashem. It's like he's talking about someone else. If you say how the Yankel spoke to Shmedel, right? And Yankel said, "This is the law that I'm telling you. This is the law that Yankel is telling you." No, this is what Zois Chukas HaTorah asher tzivisi, or ani mitzaveh eschem. Also, why does it say here Zois Chukas HaTorah? It's mashma that this is the law of the Torah. Rashi focuses on the word Chukas, why it's called a chukah. But Alter Rebbe asks a general question: why Zois Chukas HaTorah? Every law is a Chukas HaTorah. It's a mitzvah of Torah. Here the introduction is Chukas HaTorah. So he started off with a whole arichas, that there's 3 dimensions in Torah. There's Torah Shebal Peh, Torah Shebiksav, and Oisis HaChakikah. The luchas were engraved. Torah Shebiksav is written. Torah Shebal Peh was written later, but essentially was transmitted through the mouth, Bal Peh. And the difference between engraved and written, which we learned last time at length. And he said, Zois Chukas HaTorah. Through this mitzvah, you're going to access the chayk of Torah, the chakika, chukka meloshin chakika, engraved. The dimension of Torah, the way it's engraved, should be able to come into ksav, and then be able to come into Torah Shebal Peh. Vayitzavenu Hashem lasis es kol hachukim eile. He teaches not just lasis, to fulfill, to do, livatzeya, to execute. Las is to make it, to create it. Las is to make from it a chukim. There's a there's a major creative element. That's pshat vasisem atem, we say in Krishma and Tzitzis. Vasisem atem, vasisem oisem, the Zohar says. You make them. And he brings a few psukim for this. In order to explain all of this, what does this mean? How b'chal can a person access this and create it? And what's the connection to Parah Adumah, Zois Chukas HaTorah? So he starts explaining the concept of Ratz and Shov. Yeah, that was the main theme we learned last year, Thursday. The first year of this Maimer. The concept of Ratz and Shov. It says in Yecheskel, V'hachayis Ratz and Shov. Speaking about the Malachim, the Chayis, like we say Chayis HaKodesh, the holy angels, the angelic beings, the Chayis HaKodesh, the sacred animals, if you want. Chayis HaKodesh, Efanim v'Chayis HaKodesh B'Raj Gadol. So these Chayis are Ratzei v'Shov. They're always in a state of Ratzei, and also in a state of Shov. Ratzei means running, yearning, longing, and Shov is returning. And the explanation is the Chayis is also refers to the Chayis, the whole Chiyus, the life force of the world is in a state of Ratzei and a state of Shov. And it's reflected in the heartbeat of a human being. It's reflected in the breathing process of a human being. The heartbeat and breath are essential to life. That's how a person lives. If there's no circulation of blood, chas v'shalom, for a very short time, there can't be chiyus. Again, if there's no breathing, the inhaling and the exhaling, again, the person doesn't get the oxygen. We need the blood and we need the oxygen in order to be able to give chiyus to the body. So v'hachayis, to tap into chayis on any level, till the very physical, whatever we call life, there's always a ratzei and there's a shov. And that's why there's inhaling and there's exhaling. There's the heart expanding and the heart contracting, which is what allows the blood to exit the heart and go through the whole circulatory process, the mahalach adam, what we call circulation, through all the evarim, ultimately giving the oxygen that we inhale and the nutrients and distributing it, distributing it, literally, distributing it to every cell in the body. Without that, chas v'shalom, the chiyus can't be there. Why is it in this system? It's because in this system it exists on all levels. On all levels, it's always an inyan of Ratz and Shov. What is this in Avodah? And he says, this is Avram Avinu, Halach v'Nasaya HaNegba. So in Avodah he spoke. In Avodah Hashem, there's two tenuas. One is the tenua of longing, of yearning, of pining. The concept of tzamalecha nafshi, kamalecha besari, be'edet tziyah v'ayev b'li mayim. There's the tzamalecha nafshi, yisoid ha'esh, the element of fire, which is a tzimayim, which is a thirst, which is a pining. And that's the ratzoi, which allows the person to transcend whatever keli, whatever container they're in. Right? Searching for more. Searching for more. And not becoming stuck or complacent or smug. And that's always the tenua of ratzoi. It says in Sefer Yetzirah, Im ratz libcha shuv la'echad. So the ratz libcha is the yearning of the heart. It says in Zohar and Pasuk Eliyahu, that's the introduction to the Tikkun Zohar. Many people say it on Friday, out of Shabbos. The Alter Rebbe put it also in the Siddur. Pasuk Eliyahu v'amar Yibayin Alman. So over there he speaks about Chachma Moicha, Bina Liba. Bina is connected to Leiv, like we say in the morning. Avinu v'Rachamon, Rachim Naleinu v'Sein, Bili Beinu, Bina. Bina Liba, it's a Lashon in Zohar. So Ratz Libcha is always connected with Bina, the Hisbainanus, in the truth, in the infinity of Hashem. And he gives the whole Hisbainanus, B'yud Nivra Olam Haba, the whole Olam Haba is a Yud, and Imcha Mekar Chayim, even the source of life is Imcha, and therefore Mili Bashamayim, V'imcha Lechafatz Dibaretz. I don't want Imcha. I want you yourself, Mili Bashamayim, V'imcha Lechafatz Dibaretz. And he brings here the Nekuda that we always talk about, the Dveikas. It's a Machzadik writes that the Dveikas, they used to hear his Zayda, the Balatanya, during Dveikas, that he would say, Mili Bashamayim v'imcha lechafatz dibaretz. I don't want Olam Haz, I don't want your Olam Haba, I don't want your Gan Eden Atachna, I don't want your Gan Eden Elyon, because it's all v'imcha, it's all v'imcha, it's with you, it's part of you, but it's tafel to you. Ich will meiners das dich allein, I want only you. We have a Yid sitting here from Bnei Brak, Rabbi Sheinin. He's got a grandson of the Balatanya from one of his daughters. Sheinin was her name. So he told me that he used to learn with Rav Steinman, Rav Aaron Leib Steinman, Zatzal. So he told me that he was once sitting with Rav Steinman, And he said he wants to tell him over a vart from the Alter Rebbe. And he told him this vart. The Alter Rebbe, during his davening, during his dvekas, would say, Mili b'shamayim v'imchalei chafatzti ba'aretz. And he said the whole vart. Ich will nicht dein Gan Eden, ich will nicht dein Olam Haba, ich will manage das dich allein. He told Rabbi Steinman, he started to cry. And he told him, he says, Du weißt allein nicht, was a tiefe vart das ist. You yourself don't know what a profound insight that is, vart that is. So this is all the nekuda, ich sage berichtig, this is all the nekuda of Ratz Libcha. And that's connected to the element of fire, which is the thirst, the Yesod HaEsh HaBalev, that's the Ratz. There's the opposite tenuah, which is Shov. Shov means to return, acceptance, embracing what is, celebrating the present moment. And he says, Shuv in a way comes from a much deeper place. You would think Shuv is, there could be a Shuv, just despair, you just give up, you have breakfast today, stop complaining. You have an air conditioner, you have breakfast, was willst du? You're breathing. But the Shuv here is a Shuv that comes after the Ratzi. If it comes after the Ratzi, it's deeper than the Ratzi. What's the Shuv? And he says the Shuv, this we explained at length, comes from the concept of the awareness of Sovev Kalam, that there's no Maila Mata. There's no higher and lower. Because as Hashamayim v'Sa'aretz ani malei, just like I fill heaven, I fill earth. And as the Alter Rebbe put it, Lo shayech rotzei v'aliyah ki hu nimtza lamata kamei lamayla. The concept of rotzei and aliyah, of going up, is not shayech because he's present, lamata kamei lamayla. This is the aside of what we explained, based on this nekuda, what the Baal Shem Tov said. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samad. When Hashem is lenegdi samad, shivisi, everything is b'shava. Like it says by Chayesara, Vayiyu Chayesara, Meir Shana, Esrim Shana, Sheva Shana, Shnei Chayesara. So Rashi says, why does it say again Shnei Chayesara? Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. They were all Shavim, they were all equal in goodness. The obvious question is, you can't say that about any person's life. Especially Sarah, her life went through a lot of Gilgulim, a lot of Mapechas. For 90 years, she didn't even have a child. It must have caused her a lot of pain. There were times that she was abducted. She was literally kidnapped by Parah. Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. The pshat is Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. It doesn't say Shavim, they were all equal. Every day was the same. Sarah didn't live a predictable life. I mean, her husband was 75 and they uprooted their whole past and they started a new journey to the unknown. They lived, Avram and Sarah were trailblazers. They didn't have, they didn't live in a house with a picket fence, mowing the lawn every Sunday, walking the dog and picking peaches from the backyard. I mean, maybe they had a picket fence around their home, I'm not sure. But the point is, that's not that she had a life, every day was the same. But Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. What was the same was, the goodness was the same. She was always good. Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. In every state of life, she showed up with her full goodness. The software may have been different, but the hardware, the taiva, the goodness, is always there. So the Hashem said, Shivisi, there's an equality, a state of equality, that the person says, this is a good day, this is a hard day, this is a bad day. So then right here, right now, this situation, this is everything. This moment, being fully present to this moment and all of its experiences, and not all of the experiences may be always geschmack. Sometimes I have to work through something. Sometimes I'm facing adversity inside, mibayis or mibachutz, outside. Sometimes it's very, very severe, unfortunately. Yeah, we don't have to explain. I mean, sometimes it's real challenges. Whatever they look like, it could be in gashmius, it could be in ruchnius, it could be internal, it could be familial, it could be marital. It could be things around us. It could be our people. It could be so many different things. The kulam shavim, the shivisi, doesn't delegitimize, doesn't minimize or undermine the nature of the reality. But the perspective of Sovev Kalalman means that right here, right now, there's a truth. There's the full truth. And that's what Shov is. And therefore, there's the concept of the returning and the embracing of the reality here. Yeah, that was the main. I mean, we discussed some more things, but that was the main point. So these are the two tenuas, and the Alter Rebbe says that all of Yiddishkeit is based on this, because each one on its own could be a trip that's divorced from truth. Each one on its own. Ratzah could be a shtickle avodah zarah, and also a source of tremendous discontentment. Also an excuse for never being present and for being miserable. And also creates, it's a beautiful thing, yearning growth, but always takes it could take a person away. The same is true Shov. Shov is a gewaldige thing, but like everything, it has its trap, right? Shov could just be, I get stuck in my comfort zone. And that becomes another avodah zarah, becomes another form of self-worship. The two tnuas of Ratz and Shov. That's Hachayis Ratz and Shov.
I can't help it. I have this mathematical paradigm.
Of course.
Which is Ratz relates to a line where basically
Ratz is a line, yeah.
And the distance is always different. And Shov is like equidistance, it's like a circle. So is it
Yeah, Ratz is a line, you're saying going up.
going up or down? Or,
Yeah. And Shov, you're saying, is like a circle.
yeah, you're always equidistant, doesn't matter.
You're always equidistant from the center. A complete circle is the same distance in every place, the same distance from the center. So yeah, that's what he says. Soiv of Kalalman, mitzat Soiv of Kalalman is Shov.
If it's a Soviet, it has to be Shov.
Yeah.
It can't be any
Yeah,
other way.
that's Soiv of Kalalman. Nimtza lamata kamay lamayla. Wherever I am in this circle, it's equidistant. Yeah, it's lamata kamay lamayla, and there's no higher and there's no lower. So that's what he says. So this is the second column. You see the second column in the Chukas Maimer, Nun Vav, column 2, or 111. It's like 10 lines from the top. The word starts, the first word is Lamaila. Ki nimtza lamata kamay lamaila. V'chol ha'aliyas yelchu mechayel el chayel ze shayich rak b'bchinas mamala kalam. All the aliyas going higher and higher, what we call yelchu mechayel el chayel, that's all in mamale. Mamale is the way the divine energy fills the worlds. In other words, it's tailor-made to every world according to its chemistry. So there's always expansion. Because how much light do you have access to? How large your vessel is. And when I expand the vessel, there's more light. We learned this at length, Shabbos, the first Maimah of Koirach, Vayikach Koirach, the difference of Pnimi and Makif. He explains there at length the difference between the Talus and the Tzitzis. Right? Pnimi, which is the that's integrated into the vessels. So the vessels expand, the awareness expands, consciousness expands, which means you have access to more light, more awareness, more truth, more depth. And that's a continuous process. Yelchu mechayel el chayel, and that's what Ratzah is. Yesterday's Ratzah doesn't do it for today. Last year's Ratzah doesn't do it for today. Last year's Ratzah was trying to escape my shells, my husks, my blockages from last year. But today there's another Ratzah, because the journey is infinite. Like he said, it's in that Maimon, Nun alofim yoivlos, 50,000 jubilees. That's all in Mamala Kalalman, because Mamala Kalalman, the light is filtered and diminished into each world and each creature according to its capacity. So when I expand my capacity, I open myself up to more truth. And we all know this in life, right? The person you were 5 years ago is not the person you are today. At least let's hope so. You can ask your wife if it's true or not. Hopefully a better version. Yeah. And that's the real concept of growth. I simply, the same person, you may have this, it's the same person, but it's not the same person. There's so much more. And what you took seriously maybe a while ago, you see that this was all such a narrow perspective. I simply didn't know reality. Sometimes a person could realize their whole life they were living in a bubble. They were living from such a narrow, small place. If you're faratzta, yamav, akedma, tzafayna, negba, expansion, his pashtos, his rachvos, that's the Ratzah, that's the Elcha Mechayel El Chayel. But when you talk about Soiv of Kalalman, what's Soiv of Kalalman? Soiv of Kalalman is Nimtza Lamata Kamay Lamayla. So right here, it's just like up there. It's Vu Lifestu. Says this.
Is it spaceless or is it spaceless? Is it above the space or it's within the space? How do you see it? Is it also physically?
There's no space devoid of it, but the way it's in the space is not limited to the experience of the space. But there's no space devoid of it, so it's also in the space. Because there's a space devoid of it. If it's Soiviv, it doesn't have to avoid anything. It doesn't avoid anything.
So he's saying it's fully present?
It's fully present always.
And
equally present in every moment and in every situation. So the greatest moment you'll ever experience is the moment you're in now. And the most amazing place you'll ever be in is the place you're in right now. And the most incredible person you meet is the person you're meeting right now. And that could be yourself too. 18 Forshay is the most amazing place you'll ever be in your life. Exactly. 8:24 in the morning, Monday is the greatest moment. It happens to be, it is the greatest moment because we're learning Likkutei Torah. That's just beside the point. Even from an objective scientific point of view. That full presence in life, what does full presence come from? You know, that ability to be fully present. This is everything. You know, so when the Baal Shem Tov says Hashem recreates the world every single moment. Yeah. That means if I'm living with yesterday or with tomorrow, I'm living with a life force that either was, but it's gone, or will be, but it's not here. The only meaning of life is to live with the present beat of life. The Pi'imat HaChayim of the Ribbono Shel Olam is the heartbeat. It's like I'm going to live off yesterday's heartbeat. It's not going to work. Yesterday your heart was beating. Imagine a person takes a recording of their heart beating. Boop, 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 boop. You play this recording, and that's what I'm going to live off. It's not a CD that you play, it's an MP3. I'm going to live off yesterday's oxygen. I was breathing yesterday, was willst du? So we all understand the body doesn't do that, but the mind always does that. I'm living off yesterday's credit cards and tomorrow's credit cards and yesterday's issues. Of course we remember what happened yesterday, and of course a responsible person prepares. You know, if you have to do something tomorrow, you prepare for it. But where am I living? Living is always in the present moment of life. And what is really life? What is life beyond the breath that is right now being channeled through me? What I'm inhaling and I'm exhaling, right? That Pe'ima Sachaim, Koil HaNeshama, Tahalal Yutke, the end of Tehillim. Koil HaNeshama, the Medrash says, I'll call Neshima Uneshima, so you say Halal. I'll call Neshima Uneshima. Every breath, that is really what life is. It's the gratitude, it's the miracle of being a channel for life right here, right now. And that has everything. Nimtza lamata kamay lamayla, so there's no ratzah and aliyah. And I just want to say, it's not just, you know, it happens to be a geschmacka moment. Sometimes what I'm being confronted with is a very, very difficult moment. And the avodah is a completely different avodah. I may have to shift courses 180 degrees. But it's to be fully tuned in to right now, right here, right now. That's what the relationship is, not any distraction. The gratitude and the miracle of this moment. It's a very deep experiential experience. And it's hard because our mind doesn't, our mind likes to control things. Our mind likes to put things in filing cabinets. Our mind takes us away from this very, very fast. What does it mean to be present? I'm thinking about this, my phone, somebody's texting, I have to check, I'm bored.
But it's also okay. That's what Hakadosh wants also. Otherwise he would not create it as black box.
Yeah. Black box, yeah. That's what he says. Not only that, this gilui of Seiva Kalalman is going to come out la'asid lavi in the future. Mashiach comes is going to be dafka lamata. So it's not just so down here you have the action. Precisely down here you have the action. The shuv is precisely down here. V'zel v'lo yisoisif kum. The Navi says, and it sounds like a very, very dismal, a very dark nevuah, a very dark prophecy. It says, Nafla psulas Yisrael. Psulas Yisrael has fallen so low, loy soisif kum. She's not going to be able to get up again. That's the expression in Yeshaya, Perek Chav Daled, and Amos Perek Hey. Nafla Psulas Yisrael, the Psula, the Median, the Virgin of Israel, fell, loy soisif kum. They speak about the Churban. They'll never get up again. It's like the fall was so bad, they'll never get up. So l'chayr, it's a very, very horrible nevuah. It's like, it's over, you know? This is like the ultimate death sentence. Huh? That's another. That's what it looks like. It looks like Loisayisivkum. They're never going to be able to get up again. You know, it's like when people felt after the Holocaust, what people felt after the different churbanos. It's like sometimes people feel it in their life. It's like there's such a churban, you're not getting up from this. You just survive, adjust. So Alter Rebbe says it's a whole different word. Kedarkei b'kodesh, pukvarket. What's that Loisayisivkum? So he says as a v'zel Loisayisivkum she'ein tzarech aliyas. You know why she's not going to get up again? There's nowhere to get up to. You can't be higher. Ein tzarech aliyas. Ki yiyah hagilui lamata. In other words, Leisaisif kum is a very, very profound moment. There comes a moment where you're not going to get up because you have reached your highest point. You've reached your deepest point. That's the vart. You reach a point where you can't go any higher in the sense that this has everything. And sometimes that's reached in the nefillah. In the Nafla Psulas Yisrael, in that lowest moment, when it seems that everything is gone, there's complete vulnerability. Loisayisif kum, you're not going to get up again because you can't get any higher. This is it. This is it. Sometimes a person feels such a kiruv, such a closeness, dafka in those moments, because there's no ego, there's no yesh whatsoever, there's complete ayin. It's complete seviv kalaman. In a paradoxical way, the nimtza lamata kamayla mayla dafka lamata down here, loisayisif kum. Where you running to? Where you going to rise? Huh? I don't know what to tell you. That's how he teaches. Ain't tzarech aliyas. Usually I'm looking for an aliyah. But you touch the ultimate truth, which is Seivav Kalam, and Hashem is here right now. Fully, like it says in Tehillim and Kuf Lametes, right? Esak Shamayim Shamata. If I go up to heaven, you're there. Vatzia Shoel, I go into the Shoel. Shoel is the abyss. Hineka, you're there. So we are running. That's the pshat. Ain't tzarech aliyas. Ki yiyah hagilu lamata. Aidei kiyam atayda mitzvahs ba'asiyah. And this is through the fulfillment of Torah and mitzvahs in asiyah, in this world of action. V'lachei nimshach b'zeh b'chinas shuv. From this comes shuv. V'b'chinas yiru bittul shalamayla b'chinas ava. V'b'chinas yisoid hamayim shebemoyach chachma koyach ma shalamayla b'chinas bina liba. This is the element of water in contrast to fire. Fire is going up. It's the thirst, ratzoi. Water goes down. The Gemara says, Mayim yardim emakam gavoya l'makam namuch. Water is like a liquid, so it always looks for the lowest surface. Fire rises by nature. So fire represents ratzei. Water represents shuv. Fire is represented by bina, which is liba. A heart, tzamalecha nafshi, right? The heart is on fire. You say the heart is burning with passion. And he says, Mayim is associated with mayach, with chachma, which is koyach ma. What's koyach ma? The koyach of what? The koyach of what? It's not the need to understand, to comprehend, to control. It's l'mayla mebchinas bina liba. Bina, so it's a paradox. Ratzoi, there's a tremendous spiritual yearning, but it's coming actually from the person experiencing. Chachma comes from the complete letting go. Koyach maz. I don't have to know what. I don't have to define it. I don't have to define things. Ratzoi, in a way, defines things, and that's why it runs away from definition. Shov doesn't have to define things, and therefore maybe all the truth is right here. I don't have to define. I don't have to say this is what my life is, this is what my day is, this is my family. I don't know what it is. I could say ma chveisnish. What? Yeah. What? V'nachnu ma. Moshe Rabbeinu says v'nach. We're in the pchina of ma. It's a state of openness, always openness. A state of openness. Never close the lid on things. Never define. Right? Never close the lid. It's all a form of control. Even very deep spiritual control. But it's a form of definition. Mamala Kalalman requires definition. It's not a bad thing, definition. We live with definition. This is a cup and this is a table and this is me and this is you. That's how we live life. Without the Malachim there wouldn't be a life. This is not a tissue box and this is not a table and that's not an animal and that's not a person. Yeah, we live by definitions. But there's also the element of saying, Ma, what? The question, what? That's koyach ma, that's chachma. And that creates a shuv, that creates a form of acceptance, of celebration, of being fully present. How does a person reach this state? Because this is a rhythm that is so paradoxical. It's so paradoxical. Because I'm here, I'm there. Who are you? He says, who are they? Mitzvahs. This is what Torah and mitzvahs says. The Ksiv, Moshe Rabbeinu says that last day of his life, V'zos HaBracha then. The beginning of V'zos HaBracha is Miminoi Eish Das Lamai. The Alter Rebbe says Miminoi Eish Das Lamai literally means from Hashem's right hand, He gave us the fire of religion. Miminoi, from His right, Yamin. Eish, He gave us the fire of Das. Das is like the religion, the faith of the Jewish people. Lamai, to us. But he says, look at the paradox here. Das, what's Das? Das is religion. It's always structure. Das means the law, right? Like it says in Megillah Esther, yeah? Uvechein avei el hamelech asher loi chados v'chasher avadati. I'm going to come not according to the law, right? Das Yisrael means the religion, the law of Israel. Dati, what's dati? Datim. They have a structure of religion. Datim. Hadata. There's a new word that the left invented in Israel. Hadata. You know what hadata is? To force religion on other people. They speak fiyadatit. Now it's called hadata. You're trying to impose religion on everybody. You know, with the tefillin in Tel Aviv, all the stuff that happened before October 7th. So das is structure, law. That's what law is. What's Eish? Eish breaks all structure, right? Eish is fire. What's miminoi? Miminoi is the right, and it's oisius mem yud mem. It's mayim. So which one is it? So you have a mayim mit eish mit das. The Rebbe says that's the whole nekuda. Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to say Torah and mitzvahs is a creation of Ratz and Shov together. That's why the greatest danger for Judaism is institutionalized religion. What's institutionalized religion? Where everything becomes about worshiping structure. That's what we spoke about. It becomes about worshiping structure, worshiping comfort zones. It creates tremendous judgmentalism, which is based on ego. So then there's the opposite extreme. The opposite extreme is Ratzah. You break free from all boundaries. That's not Yiddishkeit. It's Shov. There's Man Krishma, there's Man Tefillah, there's a Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is very, very detailed. So what is it? It's always Ratz and Shov. It's where definitions don't imprison infinity, but they channel infinity. We're not afraid of intricacies. We're not afraid of details. On the contrary, life is made up through details, through Mamalik Alalman. If you say, we don't care about structure, yeah, don't tell that to your DNA. Your DNA does care about structure. Somebody says, it doesn't matter. It does matter. And tiny little things, right? In the DNA, if Chas v'Shalom, the sequence is changed just by a fraction of a fraction, the results could be quite catastrophic and cataclysmic. And the same is true in the universe. You know, when they say the devil is in the details, it's not just the devil is in the details. All of life is in the details.
Are there any differences in people? Because you know, some people cannot take too much structure. They feel imprisoned by that.
Right.
Some people are okay with it. So
that's true.
The more you learn, the more you are with it.
That's true. That's why the Ratz and Shov is so important. If I state, the Ratz and the Shov are so important because the Ratzoi is the freedom of structure. It's not getting into a structure that becomes a prison. But the Shov is the ability to really be able to contain, to be able to access it in a person's daily life. So it's the rhythm. Minoi eish das lami, that's what he says. And I think for one is easier, like you say, and for the other, mitzvah their nature, another one is easier. And that's fine. Different people have different abilities.
I feel like we are always expecting from others what the level we are in. So if we're like super religious, then you expect everyone to be the same way. If you're more relaxed, you expect everyone to be relaxed. But the truth is, it's not like that. Everybody has
Every person has a different soul and a different journey. And one person's Ratzui, maybe another person's Shov, or converse. One person's Shov, maybe another person's Ratzui. Diksiv miminoi eish das, yeminoi ubchinas mayim. For two reasons. First of all, miminoi is mem yud mem, right? Also, mayim in Kabbalah is associated with the right side, chesed, kindness, which is the right. And then you have eish, v'gam eish das. Eish das. That's the eish, that's the left, that's mimina, that's mismoile. Smoile is associated with gvura, the left arm. Eish. Sheklulim mi beis b'chinas elu. Torah mitzvahs, Moshe Rabbeinu says, don't turn it into Yeminoi and don't turn it into Eish. It's a combination, it's a chemistry. It encompasses both dimensions, Ratzi and Shov. Vayidei yavei Adam l'bchinas Ratzi v'Shov shein b'chinas Eish u'mayim. Shein klalus ha-Torah shal davar zeh huzdu kol ha-mitzvahs. This is at the foundation, this is like the heartbeat of all Torah mitzvahs. Miminoi Eish das lamai. It's living in a rhythm. It's living in the heartbeat of life. Of Hachayis Ratzeh and the Chayis Shov. There's longing, there's pining, there's a daily battle for transcendence, which is Ratzeh, Ratz Lipcha, and then there's Shuv Le'echad. Complete celebration of what is. Mitzad Mamale, Mitzad Soivev. Shal davar zehus du kol mitzvah shurak sheyeh b'chinas halos mayin nukvan hainu yisarusa de lusata v'amshachas mayin duchrin b'chinas yisarusa de leila, which is the ascent of the feminine waters called halos mayin nukvan. That's the sublimation of the self to a higher space, the arousal from below, and the flow of mayin duchrin is masculine waters. This is an expression in Kabbalah. Man and mad, mayin nukvan, mayin duchrin, feminine waters. Masculine waters, the feminine, so to speak, triggers and brings out the flow from the masculine mad, which is called the sarusa de leila, the arousal from above. And that's like the eish and the mayim. V'hinei mitzvahs Parah Adumah hu klalus inyan zeh b'chinas haratzi v'shov. The mitzvah of Parah Adumah captures this in a very, very vivid way, Ratzi and Shov. Because Parah Adumah has two parts. Haratzi zeh inyan sreifas ha'parah la'efer. Ratzi represents the burning of the cow into ashes. That was unique for the Parah Adumah. Karbanas you had in the Beis HaMikdash constantly. You slaughtered the cow, but now there was a mitzvah to burn it and everything. The Torah says the whole parah, the flesh and oida, the even pirsha, even oida, psara, everything, pirsha, everything yisref. It became now a pile of ashes. V'hashuv zeh v'nasan alav mayim chayim al keli. But that wasn't enough. Now is v'nasan alav mayim chayim al keli. You put mayim chayim, living water. Living water means water from a spring. You couldn't just use water from a mikveh, even though it's kosher for a mikveh. Rainwater is not good. Rainwater that goes into a cistern, goes into a bird is kosher l'mikveh. It's not mayim shovin. It's not shovin bekeli. But this has to be mayim chayim. What does it mean, living water? Water that's right now alive because it was taken from a living spring. A spring that's flowing, a mayim, it's called mayim chayim, a living well. And you put it in a keli, and then you mix the ashes into it. V'nosan alav mayim chayim al keli, and the afer now goes into the ashes, so the water goes on the ashes. That's called a mixture. So what do you have? You have fire to the point that it's all burnt, and then you need water. So that's the Ratzi and the Shov. V'lechein nemar badai k'zois chukas ha-Torah. And that's why here it says zois chukas ha-Torah. This captures the chukah of Torah, the Ratzi and the Shov. This zois chukas ha-Torah, because all of Torah mitzvahs is Ratzi v'Shov. Every mitzvah has it, but in Parah Adumah, this is the mitzvah. This is the actual function, the nature, the fabric, and the structure of the mitzvah. The sreifa sapara, the fire we spoke about, and then the mayim, the Shov, the Ratzi and the Shov. And this is how you access the chakika, as I'll explain. There's a long parenthesis here that goes till the end of the paragraph, and he's basically saying this nekuda that you have this in every mitzvah, but here it's expressed in a very, very vivid way. Okay. Beis, Perek Beis, the next page, 112. Let's begin with the first element, the burning of the cow, which is Ratzi. V'inyan disa b'zoyar parshas Chukas, it says in Zoyar this week, Parah de kavilas min smalo manu l'smala shor kamadat amra to pnei shor me'asmal. It says in Zoyar that the Parah, the cow, the kavilas, she receives energy from the left side. And what do you mean by the left side? So he brings the pasuk in Yecheskel. In the vision of Yecheskel, he saw on the right side Pnei Aryeh, on the left side Pnei Shor. In the middle is Pnei Nesher, Pnei Adam. In the vision of Yecheskel, he saw on the left side the face of the ox, on the right side the face of the lion. That's what Yecheskel says. Pnei Shor mehasmal. And the Parah, of course, is the cow. You have the Shor and the Parah, the same family, the same species. The bull and the cow. The bull is the masculine and the cow is the feminine. So Parah is connected to Smail, it's Makabel, it receives from Pnei Shor, it's like born from Pnei Shor mehasmal, from the ox that's on the left. What does this? This is what it says in Zohar. What does this mean? It says, Ki smal doicha v'yamin mekareves. The Gemara says in Maseches Saita, with the left hand you reject, with the right hand you bring close, you embrace. La'olam tehei yamin mekareves is smal doicha. That's what the Gemara says. So he says this means, smoil is an inyan of doicha, pushing away. Yamin is an inyan of mekareves. So he says, v'yesh l'mayla b'chinas yamin u'smal tefreitzi. You have it also l'mayla by Hashem. You also have in spiritual energy. You have we say in the Chadoidi, Yamin u'smal tefreitzi v'es Hashem taritzi. Break the boundaries, break through the yamin and smile. Shemebchinis yamin nimshecha ashpa b'izgalus oir. What's the difference of yamin and smile? Yamin, from the right hand, the hashpa comes with a revelation of light, with a sense of closeness. There's a relationship. V'zel yamin mekareves. That's what it means, yamin mekareves. And that's why the chitzonim, the external realities, what do we mean external realities? External realities means that they're not in touch with their own pnimius. They don't see their pnimius. They're living off chitzonis. They're living off externals. And the reason they're living off externals is because they don't see the truth of who they really are and of what reality is. They can't receive from yamin. Why not? Because then they would be Kedusha. The flow that comes with a sense of intimacy, of love, of closeness, I'm giving to you in a way that we feel the relationship, they wouldn't be able to be chitzonim. They would feel who they are and what they are. So that belongs to holiness. I love you. We say in the morning from Tehillim. We're talking about klipas. Klipas means husks, blockages, shells. They can only receive from achirayim. Achirayim means the back, like the acher, the hind part. The hainu commander shadi basar kasvin, like somebody throws something over their shoulders to give something to somebody they don't like. They don't look at them. You know, if you have to give something to somebody, I don't know, some agreement in court, you know, you owe an employee who stole your business and, you know, ripped off $1 million from you, and you have to give them some severance pay, whatever it is. You're not going to look at them, you know what I mean? I'm not giving you this envelope with love. I was forced, the shadi basa kasfin, I throw it over my shoulder, I don't even want to look at you. You're giving them the money. Maybe you've been giving them more money than you're giving your best friend, but there's no relationship in the giving. The money assumes an independent entity from the relationship. There's giving a present to somebody I love, then it's not about the present, it's about our relationship. Right? Some people make this mistake in marriage, they think it's about the gift. Not about the gift, it's about the card. In order to be able to write a card, you need a gift. The gift is a hechitimtz in the relationship. Sometimes it's the opposite. Take the gift and leave me alone. Trag sich up. You spoiled brat. Leave me alone. You understand the difference? You gave something more expensive, but instead of giving yourself, you gave something instead of yourself. That's the difference. There's giving yourself, but what should I give you? I can't give you my nose, I can't give you my heart, so I give you a gift, because I'm trying to give me you, I'm trying to give you me. And then there's a second gift, I want to keep you away from me. I'm not trying to give you me, I'm giving this instead of you. This is very, very important. It's a very unbelievable word, Alter Rebbe says. And that's the whole difference in Kedusha and Klipa. Everybody gets everything from Hashem. Where does Klipa have chiyus from? Everything is from Hashem. Einoid mulvada. But it's a completely different relationship. In Kedusha, it's not about what I'm giving. It's about who's giving it. This presence, his skarvus, chibol, ahafti eschem amar Hashem. It happens to be you. I'm giving you life. But it's about the relationship. It's about our closeness. So there's no separation. What's Klipa? The whole idea of Klipa is it takes the gift, boom, I don't even know who came from. And that's what smile is. Smile doicha. Smile doicha doesn't mean we touch smile doicha, he pushes you away. No. If it's coming from Hashem, he's giving. But the giving is something that doicha, you could take it in a way that you feel, you don't know where it comes from. You're pushed away. That's what he's saying. You understand? We say in the Shira, when the Yamin comes out, the enemy gets crushed. In Eicha, Yirmiyah says, he took Yaminai and he put it backwards. In other words, the Yaminai became concealed. What came out was smile. Ki yamini kasam ubchinas mismail. Ki hine smile doicha shashpa shemekava smile eine bebchinas derech yamin shemekareves. Ki bebchinas tchia shedoicha shashpa. V'lachen ay deiribu yatzimtzumim tchia achar tchia yuchaliyah sheikablo gam ken achitzoinim v'zeu inyan para de kabilas mismala. So after one small doicha, another small doicha, you have an entity called chitzoinim. What's chitzoinim? They only hold on to the external version of reality. They think they're holding on to reality, but it's only the most external version of reality because it's stripped from the soul that's present there. And that's the difference of Yamin, Mikarevis, and Small Doicha. Smile also gives, but it's giving in a way that I'm not revealed and present here. So on the contrary, what I'm giving you becomes a distraction. It becomes a mechitza. It becomes a hefsek in the relationship rather than the relationship itself. Because smile in its origin is not going to create chitzainim, because it's still felt what it is, where it comes from. But after filter and another filter, more tchiyah, there comes a point where it's completely detached, even though it's not detached. Mitzad Yamin, when there's a gili of Yamin, what's prat Yamin? It's a din in the relationship. It's part of the connection. There's always intimacy. And that's the difference between Kedusha and Klipa. Kedusha means holiness. What does Klipa mean? Klipa means a shell, a husk. Right? In Yiddish it's called shalachts. Klipas hapri, the klipa of a peri. The peel. What's the definition of a peel? So this is the example. When I look at a banana, I know that there's a banana there. There's a peel. The peel is there to protect the banana. I know that an orange peel has under it an orange. I don't get deceived by the peel. Right. Klipa in its essence is not a concealment completely. It's a shell, it's a husk. But then there comes a point where the klipa becomes the reality. I don't even know that there's something inside the klipa, even though there's something inside. The klipa becomes like in a walnut. In a walnut, you really have to crack. It's hard. You have to take a nut cracker and crack it because it's a thick, dense klipa. Now with a walnut, we happen to know that there's a nut inside, but it's just an example. In Kabbalah, it's called egos, klipas egos, shalosh klipas atmeyas. Then you have a grape, for example. You could even see the grape through the klipa. That's called klipas noiga. It's a translucent shell. You could see the inside through the outside. But sometimes you can't. There's no access to it. So what does this idea mean spiritually? It's called klipa. Why is it called klipa? Klipa means any reality that covers up. It's called opaque. It covers up. It's dense. And it eclipses. It's zemafil. It's fatunkelt. It eclipses. It covers up the true essence of what it is. That's the definition of klipa. How can that be? Right now, its entire energy is divine. That's the difference of yamin and smile. When I give something in a way of yamin, what the focus is the closeness, the relationship, the hiskarvus, the chiba. The thing I'm giving is just a hechitimtz in the relationship. The main thing is that there's a relationship, there's attachment. But then you give something in a way that itself becomes the reality, and the attachment is not the focus there. The attachment is what I got, not who gave it to me. When the connection of what I got, who gave it, was now what happens? In the beginning, it's still, I got it from you. But I'm celebrating this. But after one tzimtzum, another tzimtzum, it's like, who are you, B'chlal? This becomes the whole reality. And that's what he means. In the beginning, it's like, wow, you gave it to me. But the focus is on the thing. In Kedusha, the focus is on the relationship, on the attachment. That's why Klipa always looks for things. I need another thing, another thing, another thing. Because I don't realize it's about the connection, it's about the relationship. That's more important than anything. Like taking a marriage, right? If the husband or the wife, they're looking for another thing, what's missing? I need another, what's missing is, the point is missing. It's good to give a gift, and if it's a nice gift, but only as a flow. It's part of a flow. Same is true with children, right? Go on the computer, but leave me alone. Hey, you want another tablet? Give another tablet. You want another game? But leave me alone. It's not what the kid needs. But at some point, the kid only asks for that. Why? Because if I can't get the source, at least let me have this to entertain myself. And then it's bad news. When the tablet is much more exciting than Tati and Mami. Much more exciting. Because that became the new reality. So Klipa, it's always looking for things. It's not taifas that the hashpah is from the source. And that's why it could be completely detached. That's the difference of yamin and smile. So the real hashpah means not giving something. It's giving you. It's giving me. I'm giving something, but there's me. I'm here. You're here. So it's me to you. It's a relationship. It's attachment. That's yamin mikarevis. Small doiches, I'm giving from my acheraim. I'm actually giving not me. I'm giving this instead of me. I don't want to give me you. I don't want to give you me. I don't want to give me to you. So this becomes a distraction. What allows Klipa to become Klipa? The inyan of smile. That's why there could be a reality that its entire identity is divine energy, but in its own mind, it's completely detached or self-contained. To the point that on the lowest level, it completely eclipses its source. So that's what Pshat Nezoya, Parah de Kabilas Mismala. Parah is Mekabel from smile. V'zeu inyan mitzvahs Parah Adumah l'saken inyan zeh. So the whole mitzvah of Parah Adumah was to repair this inyan. To repair this relationship. V'shev ha'hazoyis. Literally to repair this relationship. I'll tell you a very sad story I heard from the Bala Maisa, from the person himself. His name is Rabbi Shalom Lipsker, from the Shul in Bell Harbor, Florida. If you ever go to Bell Harbor, they have the Shul, and the rabbi of the Shul is Rabbi Shalom Bell Lipsker. So I once heard the story from him. He said that a man came to see him, a very, very wealthy man in Florida. It's a horrible story, I'm just warning you. But it captures this quite well, unfortunately. The man says he has a dilemma. He was married, he had a son. As the Gemara says, Nosan einav bi'isha acheres. This man decided he liked somebody else. So he started to go to somebody else. His wife caught him, and the marriage fell apart. And she left him, and he gave her a get, he gave her a divorce, and he remarried. He married the other woman. His son was a teenager at this point, and of course his son blamed this woman for breaking up the family. So the son really hated this new woman that came into his life, and they would always poke at each other. And the son would constantly, he obviously wouldn't listen to her. He said, "You're not my mother, you're a force of evil in my life." And she went back at him, and his second wife gave him an ultimatum. If you want me to stay in the house, you have to get rid of your son. If he stays in the apartment, I'm not staying here anymore. Now his son was a teenager, so he tells Rabbi Lipsker, I called him my son one day, and I said, I have a big problem. I love you, but you can't stay in the house anymore. So he says, here, keys. So I rented for you a beautiful, beautiful apartment on the beach, a few blocks away. Beautiful. And the ocean view, amazing. He gives him another set of keys. I have a car for you. It's a car. He gives him a credit card and he says it's unlimited. The bill will come to me. And then he gives him an envelope with a lot of cash, thousands of dollars of cash, spending money. He gives it all to him. And he says, but you can't come back into our apartment. And if you need anything, I'll come visit you. I'll come to you, but you can't come back here. So the kid takes the keys and takes the credit card and takes the cash, takes out all the cash and the keys, throws it back at his father. He says, I don't need your house and I don't need your car and I don't need your keys, I don't need your credit card, I don't need your cash. All I wanted was a father. And he left the room. So he comes to Rabbi Lipska and he says, what am I supposed to do? I don't have a happy end to the story. I'm just telling you what I heard from him, right? So here you have a classic example. Now this kid at least articulated it. He got it. Children usually don't articulate it because either they're embarrassed or they don't have that awareness or that level of conscious perception. But that's a classic example. I gave you everything, but I gave you nothing because what you really needed, you didn't have. Yeah. Like it says in Mishlei, Shlomo Melech says, it's better to eat some dried out vegetables with somebody you love than fat beef with somebody you hate. You can have the most beautiful Shabbos dinner, but there's no vibe, there's no energy, nobody wants to be there. So you have the best food in the world, but the food is not going to compensate the relationship. When there's a relationship, the food is a very nice accompaniment. You can't have a chasana with music. Music is nud, but you need a chasana and a kala. With the chasana and kala, you have music, you have flowers, you have a caterer, you have it's all geschmack. When the food becomes a distraction instead of the relationship, that's what happens. And that's the chiluk of Kedusha and Klipa. In Kedusha, it's always a relationship. There's a relationship. Ein noid mulvada. In Klipa, there's a distraction of the relationship. The moment of distraction of the relationship, now you have to compensate because there's a void, there's a tremendous void. So now I need more and more and more and more and more and more. I don't feel the ba'ur b'nei melechayim. I don't feel the presence. When you feel the presence of Hashem in your life, then a little vegetable you're grateful for. You come into a house, there's the presence, you feel the presence of a connection, of a relationship. Whatever there is, there could be a broken couch, but it's more valuable than a palace, a palace that extends, 3 acres with 17 bathrooms and 3 tennis courts and a stable and 9 pools with a jacuzzi, ignited by solar energy. Everybody should have solar energy with jacuzzis, with bathtubs, with alts, Baruch Hashem. Yidden dafen ashiris, yeah? But meretach, when it's a distraction, then it's not ashiris, then it's poverty. Would you rather live in a house where there's 13 bedrooms and there's tremendous harchava, but nobody connects to each other? Or a person lives in a little small apartment and it's takabedachkos, it's not geschmack. He comes from Bnei Brak, so he knows what that means. We're in Muncie, so we came from Brooklyn, but even Brooklyn is not Bnei Brak. Or you live in a little tiny, but there's love, people want to be there. It's a whole different Indian. Even when they're sitting at the table, everybody's on their phone now. I was once in Florida, so I went somewhere to pick up food. So there's a table, there's a husband, a wife, and 2 children, and they're sitting at a restaurant. Everybody's on their phone. They went out to eat. Everybody's on their phone like this, addicted, I guess to get your son's attention, you have to text him. Maybe he'll text you back. Hello, I'm sitting against you. What do you want to eat? And you get the point. So he says, Parah Adumah came, since Parah is the Kavilas, min smaller, Parah Adumah came to be Mesak in the Sinyan. V'zeu inyan mitzvahs Parah Adumah l'saken inyan zeh. V'sheva hazayis noichach pnei oyel moyed. The Torah says the first thing you do is, after slaughtering the animal, he takes the blood and sprinkles it 7 times noichach pnei oyel moyed. The Parah Adumah wasn't made in the Beis HaMikdash. Right? It was made mechutz lamachana. it was done on Har HaMishchar, Hazesim. Or by the Mishkan, it was Mechutz Lamachana. But you sprinkle it, Noichach Pnei El Moed, east, to the east, in the Yerushalayim, and you saw the door of the Heichal, of the Beis HaMikdash, and you sprinkled the blood 7 times there. The Hainu Lahalis Pnimiyusa, Shu Pchines HaToiv, Shenimshech V'Nespashet B'Teichem Pchines Pnei Sharsha B'Merkava, Ulachzire La'aloisei L'Sharsha. What's this idea? The parah is taken out, and then its blood is sprinkled 7 times towards the opening entrance into the Mishkan, or later into the Beis HaMikdash. So he says it's to be Maila, the Pnimius of the parah. The blood is the Chiyus, the life force. To elevate its Pnimius, which is the Toiv, which came from Pnei Sharsha B'Merkava. Remember, where does the parah come from? It comes from the face of the ox in the Merkava, which is on the left side. So it doesn't begin as Klipa, it begins as Kedusha. It begins as the Merkava. Merkava is the chariot of Hashem, the chariot of the Kisei HaKavod. And that goodness is extended and manifested in the ox, this toiv shenispashadma, to bring it back to its source. That's what sprinkling the blood is. You're taking the chiyas and you're bringing it back towards the Beis HaMikdash, even though you're outside, because you're in the parah. You're bringing it back spiritually. You're sublimating it to the Pnei Shar, the toiv, because that toiv is in it. That's step 1. Step 2 is you burn it. You burn it to become ashes. This was unique by the Parah Adumah. Sprinkling of the blood you had by all the behemoths. All karbonis you sprinkled the blood. Here it wasn't in the Beis HaMikdash, it was outside. That was the whole point. But then the second element is burning the whole thing into ashes. What's this? So he says, whenever you burn wood and it becomes ashes, the ashes that remains represents the core of the log of the wood that was burnt. You take a log and you burn it. The afer, what remains is the last thing standing. Everything is burnt up. The last thing is the ashes. It says in Koheles, everything comes from the offer. Everything came from earth. But there's what we call another 3 Yesodis that became murkav, that became part of its mitzias. It became a hybrid. Eish, ruach mayim, fire, water, and air. Eish is fire, ruach is air, mayim is water, and they came ella offer shu atzmusai. They joined the offer, which is atzmusai, and that composite of eish, ruach, mayim, offer, the 4 elements, create reality, and that's what the eitz is. As you burn it up in fire, as I gimel you say this, Amar Eish Mayim Ruach Shayubayit Cholfu V'Kolu Barshan Hamishavim Merkavasa. V'Yisoid Hadalit Shayubayit Shazel Atzmus Yeshua Afer Shabai Hu Anisher Kayim V'Hu Efer. When you burn it up in fire, the first 3 elements that got mixed into making this eitz, the Eish and the Ruach and the Mayim, this dissipates in the smoke. The smoke is created. The smoke has an element of Eish and Ruach and Mayim, the Ashan, so it dissipates. And what's left? What's left is the 4th element, which is in the Eitz, which is, he calls it Atzmusi, its essence, which is offer, earth. That's what remains, and that's represented by ashes, Efer. A different way of saying it is, everything has a chaymer and everything has a tzura. What's the difference? Chaymer means the material, the chaymer is the brute material of it. The tzura is the form of it. The form of it. You always have the thing itself, the entity itself, and then you have the form we give it. Everything. This table, the entity is wood. It's made of a certain type of wood that was taken from a certain tree. But that was chaymer. And then you have the tzura. The tzura, this is a table, this is a stender, this is a vessel, this is a bookcase. Maybe the same chaymer, but the tzura is different. And because the tzura is different, it becomes a different entity. It has a different function. I can't use the bookcase for a table. I can't use the stender for everything has its function. That's the tzura. There's the chaymer and there's the tzura. So he says, when you look at the eitz, so he says, the simple, the pristine chaymer of the eitz is the offer, the element of earth. The gimel yisoidus eish ruach mayim nakatsura shel eitz. Offer itself is earth, but what makes the tzura of the eitz, the form of the eitz, is So you have also Eish, Ruach Mayim. Vayidei Sreifa Sa'etz Nishirak Etzem HaChomer Shaloi HaPashat. And when you burn it, what are you left with? You're left with the raw, brute material that's represented by the offer, by the Efer. So the burning disintegrates everything, and it takes away all the tsuras. And what are you left with? You're left with only the core. It takes away all the forms. So here he's using the model of the four Yesodis, Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Offer. Some associated today with liquid and gas and matter and energy, or matter, antimatter, positive, negative. And when you take away all the elements, right? All the elements, so you're left with the core itself, what's called the chomer. What does this represent? What does this represent? So Alter Rebbe says like this: every inyan in life has two things, the chomer and the tzura. The chomer is what it is. The tzura is what it becomes. And it's never the same. The chomer is what it is without interpretation. The tzura is the form it takes. So you have physically the form of a table, the form of a tissue box. It could have been a different form. But what does it mean in a conceptual way? The form of something is the way it's presented to us, the way it looks to us, the way we interpret it. It's the interpretation we give to things. The chomer is the raw energy. The tzura is the form the raw energy takes. And one of the hardest things in life is to differentiate the chomer from the tzura. The tzura becomes so entrenched in the chomer, there's no chomer without tzura. But it's not the same thing. The tzura is always an additional dimension to the chomer. When you strip the chomer from the tzura, everything changes. You understand the nekuda? But that takes a lot of courage, because you got to put it in the fire and let everything fall away. All the tzuras have to fall away. When people talk about anything about their life, you're talking about the chomer, you're talking about the tzura. So usually I can't differentiate anymore. This is the story. No, there's two parts to the story. There's the story itself, and then there's the story about the story. You understand the difference? What do they say? The Isaac, what do they say in that program about the story? What's the lashon? Huh? It's not the story, it's the story about the story. There's the story itself. That's the story. There's the story, right, that I tell about the story. That's a whole different story. And then there's the story I tell about the story that I told about the story. And then after a couple of years, I already don't know the story and the other billion stories. That's the chomer and the tzura. Stripping away the tzura from the chomer is everything, because the chomer itself is the chomer. That's true. The tzura I give it, the meaning, the interpretation, the form, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different inyan. So a person can have an experience in life. That it's a true experience. What does that experience mean for you? That's already the tzura. That's not the story. But the chomer comes together with the tzura very fast. So now years later, I already don't know to distinguish. And this is my tzura. But it's not. It's what happened when I attached this tzura to this chomer. What if I could strip the chomer from the tzura? I could say I can give it a whole different tzura. And this is a very, very powerful invitation to a person. To ask myself, this is part of what we spoke before about the shivisi. Shivisi Hashem l'nagdi from the Baal Shem Tov, Ishtavos. The chaimer always can be interpreted different ways. It can mean different things. The question is, what surah do you impose on the chaimer? So for example, a person will present their life as X, Y, and Z. These are my challenges, these are my blessings, these are my gifts, these are my resources, these are my tragedies, these are my issues. And then say, how much of what you just said is chaimer and how much of it is tzura? If you go to the raw facts, there could be a whole different interpretation. But I don't come with raw facts. I come with a whole litany of agendas and perspectives and expectations. Expectations is always a tzura, but the expectation, that's the reality. So this is a curse, and this is horrific, and this is horrible. To take away the chaimer from the tzura, maybe you'll give a new tzura, maybe not. Maybe you'll go back to the old tzura, maybe not. But can you distinguish between the chaimer and the tzura? Now here the Alter Rebbe says something revolutionary that becomes probably one of the biggest Yesodus in Avodas Hashem, al pi derech Chassidus. The first one you have to do this is with your nefesh habahamis, with your cow, with your Parah, with your Parah Adumah, with your passionate red animal soul, the behemoth that's inside of you. You have to know the difference of the chaimer and the tzura. Let's just learn another few lines just to get one major nakud, and then let's take a look. This is an incredible beer from the Alter Rebbe, just unbelievable. The same thing we spoke about with the fire you have in Avodah. The animal soul also comes from Pnei Shor. It's not just the cow, your animal too. It also all comes from Pnei Shor, which is the Merkava of Yecheskel. The Kabbalah is smaller. Why is it an animal? Why is it not Kedusha? Why is it called a behemoth? Because it's from small. It goes through a tzimtzum. It goes through small doicha. So the Nefesh HaBahamis defines itself as self-contained. It's just trying to survive. Just like we spoke that from the Parah comes the hashpal lechitzainim. Remember, from small doicha, from the shor comes small, and then it goes to the Parah, and that's where the chitzainim, the klipas, are makabel their energy from. Go to the person, same thing. From my own Parah, from my nefesh habahamis, from the midas, from the emotions and the drives of the nefesh habahamis, that's where people have all their cheshek, all their cravings, all their taivas, for all the pleasures in this world which may be permissible, or they may be actually forbidden, isur, chas v'shalom, promiscuous. So what do you look? You look at your nefesh habahamis, you say, behema, gasa, behema daka, fed. Right? That's what you say. It's a behema. It says, v'hinei k'sha'odem choshek v'chofetz l'davar minyonei olam hazeh agashmi. When a person wants anything, a person has a cheshek, a person has a passion, I have a taiva, which you said, where does that come from? It comes from the Parah. It comes from the nefesh habahamis. The kavilas means smaller, which comes from tzada small doicha. So he says, Hine oisei hadavar, that thing that you're looking for, you want, hu keli laharatzin v'atshuka shebalev adam. That thing is a container for your desire. There's a desire here. Maybe a piece of food. It may be a crush on a person. It may be anything in the world. Maybe money, maybe covet, whatever it is. Power, influence, my phone, my computer, this experience, this trip. That thing is what I want, but it's a keli. It's containing your ratzin. There's a desire here inside of me. That this thing is now the keli for my desire. It's the container for my desire. Then you have the thoughts and the words. They're also kalim. They're all kalim. I'm thinking about this. I have a crush. I have a flirtatious. I have this crush. I have this desire. I have this yearning, and I'm thinking about it. I'm talking about it. These are all oises. What are they? They're kalim for your ratzon. They're somehow channels for your desire. V'kol sheken ha'maisa, certainly the action to do it. Shein kulam b'chinas kalim u'levushim la'ratzon. Gam heim k'maitzura l'chaymer la'etzem ha'ratzon. Don't confuse. There's the tzura and there's the chaymer. The tzura is the form of the desire, but then there's the etzem ha'ratzon, what you're looking for. The chaymer is what you look, the ratzon itself. Not what you're looking for in terms of how it's expressed. That's the keli to the ratzon. What's the etzem haratzon? If you strip away all the tzuras, if you strip away all the forms, your ratzon took on a form. I want you, I want this, I want this, I want that. Okay, I get it. That's all what you want in terms of the form. Now, what do you really want? Go back to the chaymer. He says, Shehu al derech mashal k'may ha-chaymer ha-pashat v'hei meim ha-tzura li yisroitza kach v'kach. Then there's the tzura, I want this. But the kach and kach, that's not the chaymer, that's the tzura. That's the shape the wood took on. V'hine etzem haratzon av shenislabish b'tayvei ra hu ra gamur mikol makom ein mohus koyach hazeh chet v'ra mitzad etzem atzmusay. Sometimes you may want the worst thing in the world. The ratzon was neslabish. The ratzon put on clothes of a taiva ra, of a toxic or negative taiva. And it's takera, it's bad, it's not good, it's destructive. That's true. But that's the tzura of the ratzon, it's not the ratzon. It's not what you're looking for. The mohus of this koyach hazeh, the essence of this energy, is not ram, it's at etzem atzmusay. Sharei etzem mohusa yurak koyach ha-mishava. In the core, it's a koyach of misave. It's looking for something. It's a koyach that wants, it craves, it's passionate.
It's always good.
Huh?
It's
always good. This energy could actually be directed towards pure goodness, just like now it's directed to something that's maybe destructive. So what do you mean? So what happened? Elashara huma shehita v'himshich kayecha misavaliyas misavalera v'nasa b'hatzura rama oid v'neslabish b'levushim tzoyim at shenimshech losur mitzvahs esei oy lisavis liisur avo mitzad kayecha misava ba'atzmai hada yesh b'kayech ze lafich levavi min hakotze lakotze liyas misava v'oye v'chafetz l'dofka b'Hashem. There is a koyach hara that hijacked your koyach hamisava. It hijacked your will, it hijacked your desire, and it directed it, this is what you want. And now I think this is what I want. And it's taka what I want. He's not denying it. And it may be ragam, or it may be really, really bad. But that's called levushim. It's levushim tsoyim. It's like you put on a suit that's dirty, it's horrible, and it smells. So now you think you're dirty. You're not dirty. Your suit is very, very dirty. The problem is that the suit, I feel, is me. It's attached to me. I don't know that there's a difference between me and the levush. My koyach hamisava becomes so identified with the levushim atzayim, that is who I am. It's not true, he says. It's not true. So now the poyel, I'm gravitating, he says, either go away from mitzvahs esay or lisavis liisur, but the koyach hamisava ba'atzmai is a different nature. You have to know what it is. He says, actually, you could completely transform it to the other extreme, where it's in love with dveikus. It really wants dveikus. Well, how could you do that? Because the koyach hamisava is not bad, it's not evil. Nafshi ivisicha. It says in Yeshaya Hanavi, Nafshi ivisicha balayla. My soul, I desire you at night. So the Zohar asks a question, he brings in Tanya. Grammatically, you don't say, my soul, I want you. My soul wants you, or I want you. It should say either nafshi ifsach, or ivisicha. In English, thinking. You don't say, my soul, I want you. My soul wants you, or I want you. Nafshi, my soul, ivisicha, I want you. So the Alter Rebbe teaches in Tanya based on Zohar, he's talking to Hashem. Nafshi, you're my soul, and therefore ivisicha, I want you. That's not my soul, I want you. When I know what my soul is, I want you. Every person wants to live. You want your soul, you want your chayim. The moment you realize who you really are, what your soul really is, ivisicha, I want you. The Koyach HaMesava doesn't want bad. The Koyach HaMesava learned to want bad because that became its coping mechanism of how it's going to be alive. That's it happened. And that became the tzura, and now I don't know any other tzura. So what's the main avodah? Disentanglement. In biblical words, you got to put the Parah Adumah in a fire. You got to separate the chayma from the tzura. That's all you have to do. Disentangle the chayma from the tzura. That's the first step. Don't think the chayma is the tzura. It's not. It became the tzura. It's not the tzura. That's why shame, the shame that we have, religious shame and different types of shame, is sometimes the most destructive thing in Avodas Hashem. We turn shame into a big mitzvah. The more shaming, the more that you could shame a bacher or a kid or a girl and tell them what a behemoth they are, the better they'll become. It's the exact opposite. What does shame do? Shame puts the tzura into the chaymer lanetzach. And now you think through shame you're going to liberate yourself. You're not going to liberate yourself. The whole yesod of shame is coming from the Klipa. The biggest tactic of the Yetzer Hara is the shame, the busha. The whole nekudah is the opposite, the disentanglement of shame. Having empathy for the fact that my koyach hamesava, my desire to live, was so powerful. And it developed all these types of coping mechanisms, which in its own mind and own brain, this is what's necessary to live. Could you have empathy for that? Just have empathy for that. Yeah, it's painful. It's very painful. But the word shame, in terms of how evil you are, it's the exact opposite. It's disentangling. It's actually saying, you know what? You're actually a very, very good person. You're a very, very good person. Not only you're a good person, this very energy that you think is horrible is actually a divine energy. And the moment it realizes what really life is, that's what it's going to be looking for. Nafshi ivisicha. But unfortunately now I think in order to have my soul, in order to have life, in order to be comfortable, in order to live, this is what I need. And that's what happens. Now think what Alter Rebbe is saying here. You have here in 10 lines, 100 books in psychology. Or more. Because think about it. How many coping mechanisms do we have? He says all the middas of the nefesh habahamis. Jealousy and hatred and anger and arrogance and insecurity and fear and confrontation. Fight and flight and freeze and fawn and melting away into oblivion or narcissism. Egotism, gaiva, shachtzanut, yehirus, all these middas rayas. And all the taivas that I have. Taivas heter or taivas isser. Taivas isser means all the taivas I have to isser. All the taivas I have. And the list is sometimes very long. Very long. And nebach taivas heter is an endless list. Because taivas heter doesn't even look bad. But it's still taivas heter. It's not what you need. It's not what your body needs. It's not what your soul needs. It's taivas. I'm eating a whole bag of potato chips. Potato chips is not an isser. You're allowed to eat potato chips. But it's dysfunctional. It's something is off. It's not good for the body, so it's not good for the mind, it's not good for the soul, but it's an escape. So every one of these taivas that comes from the nefesh habahamis, not one of them has to do with your nefesh habahamis. Not one of them. It all has to do with a mechanism that it developed and adopted throughout its life that somehow made it feel that this is what I need in order to live in this crazy world. That's it. If I want to live and I want to be comfortable, this is what I need. And now 50 years later, 52 years later, 60 years later, whatever the number is, 40 years later, 30 years later, I don't even recognize one from the other. This is who I am. Nothing to do with who you are. And fortunate is the person who can identify and recognize this and start the process of disentanglement. In Chassidus and Kabbalah is a big word, avodas habirurim. Avodas habirurim. So people read this in all the svarim, avodas habirurim, avodas habirurim, avodas habirurim. So it's another madregi, put it into all with the svidis, with the madregas, with the klippas, with tatzilus. But it's really the most important word in life. What's the word birur, boirer, in Shabbos, In Hilchas Shabbos, one of the malachas is boirer. So Simon Shinyu Test and Shulchan Aruch and Hilchos Shabbos. What's boider? Boider is to select, to separate. You have in your salad, mixed in garbage, psoilus. You want to separate Shabbos. You're not allowed to do that. Boider. You're disentangling the psoilus from the toiv. Shabbos, you have to take the good from the bad. If you're going to use the good right away, you're allowed to do it. Because it's not a gedder of boider. What's avodas haberurim? Avodas haberurim means this boider, birur. Disentangle the koyach hamesava from the dirt. The koyach hamesava is not dirty. The koyach hamesava itself, he says, can be transformed to the other extreme. What you think is the worst could be the best. It's an energy. And it's an energy that can go wrong. It's an energy that can be distorted. It's an energy that can be manipulated and exploited and can be completely hijacked by the Ra. But essentially, it's not at all. So this ability to be able to disentangle. So now a person is suffering from cravings, from yearnings. And they're always falling in. It's not just cravings. It could be anger. It could be resentment. It could be even depression. Anxiety is a good one. And unfortunately very, very common. Take anxiety right there. I'm an anxious person. There's something in the eye that is very, very pure. And it adopted a belief system. They call it a schemo. It adopted, it's called a schemo. It's like an underlying story. That in my Nefesh HaBahamas' mind, anxiety is the key for survival. And sometimes it's very simple, it's not so complicated. If I'm in Gaza, I have to have some anxiety. Because any moment, a Hamasnik, Yamach Shemoy, could send an RPG and I'm done. So there's an element of dread, there's an element of fear, there's an element of everything you say and do, be careful. That's what war is. Unfortunately, some people grew up with messages that life is very, very unsafe. You have to be on the alert 24/7. But alert 24/7, you can't just speak. Before you speak, you have to think. What are you going to say? How is he going to look at it? How is he going to look at it? I can't just be free. And especially if I come into a chas and a mitzvah, there's hundreds of people. Now the anxiety goes up. There could be 1,000 enemies in the room. Who knows who's going to send the next missile? That's the sign I'm a sugar to not have anxiety. Actually, your anxiety is the best part about you. You're normal. You're coming into a place where there's 1,000 missiles. If I grew up without safety, without attachment, I never knew where the next missile is coming from, especially if it was the middle of the night or Friday night, etc., etc. Of course I grow up. What do you want me to be, a free person? I could be free. I have to be anxious and more anxious and more anxious. I have to think about every word I say 1,000 times. And what if I grew up without not knowing that thinking myself is evil? So if I say something stupid, it's going to bring out how horrible it is. I'll be hated. So everything I say, I have to be self-conscious. And I have to copy other people. Is it the good thing to say? Not the good thing? Anybody relates to what I'm talking about? Huh? This is it. This is the conversations we have to start having in our community for people to become healthy. There's such stigmas about talking about anxiety and struggles, and people are struggling like crazy. You go around here from person to person, just interview them for 5 minutes. But no, everybody's perfect. Everybody's perfect. So Shagas. It's killing people. It's pashat killing people that nobody could talk about nobody could talk about emes anymore. It's like chas v'shalom. We're all perfect. We come from perfect families. I'm not talking about you. There's always an exception. Every klal has a yotzim and a klal. But we should bring your wife one day to the shir and find out what's happening. Huh?
He doesn't have gray hair.
That's true. That's true. He has gray hair because he comes to the shir and he hears all the issues. So we look at all these midas rayos. The first you said about midas rayos that I have to know is it's all tzura. It's nothing to do with chaymer. They're all coping mechanisms that my poor Nefesh HaBahamas brain adopted over many, many years, usually the formative years. And this becomes the operating system with which I operate. I don't even do it consciously. It's not conscious. Somebody calls me and I'm anxious. This person has to get up to speak, they're anxious. This person walks into a bar mitzvah, they're anxious. Your wife says something, you're triggered. Your kid says something, you're triggered. What is all this? These are all Nefesh HaBahamis alarm systems. That's basically, if you want to survive in this world, these are the midas that I develop. And the same is true, the yearnings and the cravings and all the taivas. And talk about addictions. Yeah, when he speaks here about taivas, it includes all taivas, but it's also addictions and all the fears that we have. Even I'm getting overwhelmed, even a person that I'm feeling lazy, I'm not interested, I'm depressed. You're not depressed, and you're not lazy, and you're not uninterested, and you're not angry, and you're not jealous. Even your Nefesh HaBahamis is actually a wonderful, beautiful, cute, adorable animal. And we love it. But this poor little animal, this poor little calf, this poor little Parah Adumah, that was born a very innocent Parah Adumah, yeah, it developed all of these coping mechanisms in order to survive. And that's what happened. And now years later, this is where I am. I'm walking around afraid. I'm walking around timid. I'm walking around insecure. I'm walking around self-centered. I'm walking around burdened, overwhelmed. These are the tzuras that I developed in order for my chaymer to survive in my perception of what my Nefesh HaBahamis needs in order to have a chance to live and survive. And you know what? She actually did a good job. How do I know? You're here. She did a good job. You have to even sometimes thank it. In her own mind, she did a good job. Yeah, maybe she put on too many bulletproof vests. Maybe she was hiding too much in trenches and ditches, but you know what? She survived. You're here. You even got married. You even built a family. You even managed to have children who are now struggling. So you managed to create a new generation of dysfunction. Baruch Hashem, we all did that. But we're here to tell this story and to start to repair, the work of repairing. And the work of repairing is always the work of distinguishing between chaymer and tzura. It's very hard to distinguish between chaymer and tzura because the tzura is reingehackt in the chaymer. It's a tzura, it's a form. This table is a table. It's not a piece of wood anymore. It's a table. Now make it ice table. It's not so simple. With a table, you could break the table, break it up into pieces. It's still not going to be that original log. How do you do that? In halacha, there's a whole chiluk of shinui achayzer lebriyasai, shinui she'ein achayzer lebriyasai. A whole sugya when it comes, to gzela and shinui reshus and yiyush and all these things. If you make a change that can go back, you make a change that can go back. Not every shinui is chayzer lebriyasai. In physicality. To be able to go chayzer lebriyasai, to be able to go back to the chaymer, pre the tzura, you have to go through all the blockages. Remember, one of the biggest survival mechanisms of Nefesh HaBahamis is that you shouldn't know this. You shouldn't know this. This is one of its worst enemies. If you know this, you're going to go back to the original wound. It's dangerous. So you don't know this. Nothing happened. We don't realize the biggest success of the tzura is that it's not a tzura, it's chaymer. That's how it survives. It's not telling you this is a tzura, this is a tzura. It's not who you really. Of course, this is who you are. That's how it protects you. That's how. If you think deep down you're evil, it's not going to let you know that. It protects you so well with all these mechanisms. There's a system in IFS, they call their firefighters and managers and protectors. This is all the clippers that come in and right away take over the systems to keep you safe. There's like alarms that go off, and you have to give the Nefesh HaBahamis credit. It did an amazing job of survival. Amazing. Verstehst?
Yeah, but I have a problem. How do we go about doing this? Is there a Kedusha dimension? Who can teach us how to start figuring this out?
I like your question. Just that you're asking is already a good thing. The fact that in Pasha to mention, that's not a problem. The more Pashat you are, the easier it is to do. The less smart, the better. That's true. We all need help, yeah. We all need help. We all need help, yeah. This is what they have to be teaching kids in school. This is what they have to be talking in yeshivas. This is what they be talking in seminars. This is what bachrim and girls should be comfortable talking about. This is what a classroom conversation should be. And the only way it can happen is if the teacher could be vulnerable. The teacher is this perfect product of our system on a pedestal who never had a problem in his life. He's just perfect. So every kid who's struggling, and which kid is not, you tell me one kid that's not struggling, and the deeper kids are struggling more because they're more intelligent, right? The deeper kids are struggling much more. The more intelligent people are struggling more. The deeper souls struggle more because they're more sensitive. Their antennas feel more. So I'm like this loser and this shame. And you tell a boy, if you only learn more, you only daven more, if you do Krishna Shalom Mitte, everything will be fixed. Yeah, you should learn and daven, but something has nothing to do with that. The kid is learning and daven. They're struggling with something. So now they feel they're not learning enough, they're not davening. Now they learn and daven more and they're still miserable. So now I didn't learn enough and daven more, and the poor kid is suffering in silence. And there's nobody to talk to. Because I'm not going to reveal this, because then I'm going to not have a good shidduch, and I won't get into the right yeshiva. And the Rosh Yeshiva who thinks I'm the best bacher who ever lived in history, since Rabbi Akiva Eiger, there was no bacher like me. Is now going to have a horrible, horrible perception of me, and that's the only thing I have. The only thing I have is that I'm Rabbi Akiva Eiger in the yeshiva. A father told me that a Rosh Yeshiva told him, if you leave your bacher by me, ich will machen Rabbi Akiva Eiger. So I'm the Rabbi Akiva Eiger in the yeshiva, and now you want me not to have that? What else do I have? Love I don't have, attachment I don't have, self-esteem I don't have, authenticity I don't have. One thing I have is and the next to Reb Chaim Kanevsky. So you want me to take that away because I should tell you what happened last night? You understand? So now this poor guy gets married to Rabbi Akiva Eiger's daughter. Oh, actually, you can't have a shidduch in the same family. To a daughter who's who's like Dvaida Hanaviya, Esther Malka actually wouldn't be taken into seminaries. But whatever. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, better than all of them. Yeah. I'm saying, and this. Okay, so I'm speaking a little with humor, but it exists on so many different levels. So this is the beginning of the Sreifas HaParah. So after sprinkling the blood 7 times, the Sreifas HaParah. Sreifas HaParah means opening up the chaymer, unraveling the chaymer from the tzura. When you unravel the chaymer from the tzura, miracles happen. Because the koyach hamisave is not bad. And in our generation, we were given gifts. We were given gifts that Hashem gave our generation. I guess he knew about this issue very well. That people should be able to bypass their coping mechanisms. Because what happens is the brain is so powerful. We develop so many defense mechanisms that even if you hear this shir and it makes sense, but practically, the Nefesh Bahamas somehow is not always at the shir. He's busy surviving. He's busy. Somebody gotta keep you safe. You know what I mean? So he's busy planning the day. You know what's happening, all in background. It's very nice. You tell this a nice word from the Alter Rebbe. Listen, he says, "You with your vertlach." I've been there when you were 1 year old. You know when the spaghetti hit the fan. So don't mean to look at the Torahs with koyach hamasavas. Okay, I was here to protect you. Machmenish keine Torahs, gibmenish keine Torahs. I'm the guy who you're here before. So don't hack me meises with chaymer and tzura. I know what I got to do, and you're not going to protect me, because if you would have protected me, if I would have relied on you, you would have been dead today. I didn't rely on you. You were a little innocent kid who was hurt. I'm the one who protected you. So let the bodyguards run the show, you know? Let the bodyguards run the show. If not, you would have been shot 1,000 times. That's what it does. And you know what? He got a point. The guy got a point. The Nefesh Bahamas has a point. He says, if you want me to learn this Maimon Likkutei Torah, you're going to have to talk my language. You're going to have to show me that you're here. You're going to have to calm me down. And it's not going to be by telling me how evil I am, because I'm the one who protected you. And that's why this whole language of how evil we are and how shameful we are, as though it helps Avodas Hashem, is a chuchu tlula. It's the exact opposite. For most people, it's the exact opposite. Okay, everybody have a beautiful day, on a day of disentanglement between the chaymer and the tzura. And it always begins with awareness and compassion and authenticity. It's hard work, but it's the only work that's real. It's liberating work. This is the work of redemption. This is the work of Geula.
You know, my uncle, the Shia Safra.
Avada. He's calling it scary. He's calling it hard. This is redemptive work. This is Toras HaGeula. V'esruach hatom avim en aretz. Avodas habirurim, to finish the birurim. Ledei sechel. Medrash Rabbah Parshas Emor. Raglai hoya meilichos oisi lebeis hamedrash.
I learned the same mimer yesterday and today. I mean, what's the same mimer?
Tzlach Rabbah.
I learned the translation of it. I didn't learn. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Jacobson, you don't know yourself how good you said. Every person has
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety today is.
It's never.
Yeah.
Kids from 2 years old.
Yeah, I know. I know for myself. What I talk about, I know for myself. I don't talk about other people. Yeah, we're all in the same boat. The reason I talk about it is not because I'm an expert on it. The reason I talk about it is Valyada Inish Benafshe. Yeah, yeah. The best speeches are speeches from experience. Okay.
We were talking about the moment. So
Tomorrow night there'll be a big fabrengen in honor of Gimel Tammuz, the Rebbe's 30th yard site. 20 upstairs, 8:30 p.m. For men and women, everybody is invited. And tomorrow morning we have our women's class 9:30 here. But the fabrengen is in 20, the next door. There's going to be music. There's going to be a suda. Everybody is welcome.
So he said, you can order all these surim. The Mother Kosh was very sick. So he said, every surim only 1 minute. He said, what happened before, left already.
Yeah.
What comes
Yeah.
is later. So 1 minute.
Yeah.